Hello and how you doing, folks? Yours truly, RandeeRan here again. Today we spoke with Haley Taylor Schlitz. She has a Bachelor's of Science degree in Interdisciplinary Studies from the Texas Women's University. She's 16 years old, and she's a member of the Texas Women's University Dean's List, as well as being a recipient of the Texas Women's University Black Alumni African American Heritage Scholarship. She will be attending Southern Methodist University's Dedman School of Law this fall, as well as being the author, with her mom, of the book, The Homeschool Alternative. And this interview is another part of my discussion series, Poverty, Racism, and Income Inequality in Black America. How do we move forward? I was so very nervous about this interview because, I was just so impressed and enthralled with Haley and her accomplishments at the very tender young age of 16 years old. In September, she's going to be going to law school there at SMU, and that is quite the task for anybody to do, to pursue going into law school. It's quite the feat. And she's 16 years old, about to go and embark upon it. And you know something? She's going to be good. She is going to be a very good one. She's one of the most focused people I've interviewed. And, I've been doing this for quite a while now. And she is quite focused. To say that she's brilliant is an understatement. But overall, I enjoyed the interview with her, because I was very interested in finding out what she had to say as a 16-year-old, as someone that is full of, full of ideas, full of energy and goals, and she's just anxious to get out there and get after it and to make a difference in the world. And during the interview, you'll hear her speak about much of what she's trying to do is a result of her own life experiences and some of the things that she's had to endure, which has led her down the path for which she's going in. This was a great interview. I had a lot of fun doing it, and she's 16 years old, and I hate to keep embarking upon that, but she's young, and she's not jilted by the world yet, and God knows I hope she never is, never becomes. But you really need to listen to the interview, and I think it will reignite some youthful part of you, and you'll remember when you were that age. This is yours truly, RandeeRan, and thank you for the time. And we're back. Yours truly, RandeeRan here for another version for RandeeRan.com. We're speaking with Haley Taylor Schlitz today, and Haley has a BS in Science in Interdisciplinary Studies from Texas Women's University. She is 16 years old, God bless her, and she's on the Texas Women's University Dean's List, and she's a recipient of the Texas Women's University Book Alumni African American Heritage Scholarship. That's quite impressive. And she will be attending Southern Methodist University's Dedman School of Law this fall. She's the author of The Homeschool Alternative, the book, and we're going to be talking a bit about that today. And this conversation will be a part of my ongoing documentary discussion, Poverty, Racism, and Income Inequality in Black America. How do we move forward? How you doing, Haley?
Good. How are you?
Very good. We thank you so very much for giving us some of your very valuable time today. And the first question is, if you could please explain why you decided to pursue a career in law.
Yeah, so I mean that sprouts from my main reason actually for wanting to be a lawyer is because of my own education journey. I wanted to be a doctor at first because my mother is an ER doctor, and so I wanted to actually be a doctor so recently, so much of my life that my first year at my local community college, I was a chemistry major. I wanted to be go to medical school and follow her footsteps. But then I started to look back and reflect on myself, and I looked back to my own journey and how I got to where I was at that point, and I was like, I mean, my education had anything been slightly different, I wouldn't even be where I am. Had I was lucky enough, I was fortunate and gifted enough to have parents who didn't accept no as an answer. When they requested to get me tested for gifted and talented programs at my local public school, intermediate school, they said no. And had my parents been like, well, we tried, you could just do better in class and you'll be fine, it'll get better. And I just stayed in school, how many opportunities I would have missed. And I'm just wondering how many parents out there don't even know that the only answer isn't no, that there is an answer of yes, that how many parents just don't even know to think about that. Like, it's not even on them. When you send your kid to public school and you're there for meet the teacher day, you don't think this could end up being homeschool. So they don't even think about it like that. And I wonder how many families I could help. And I was like, what's the highest degree, one of the highest degrees I could get, and be able to continue to follow that passion and help families realize that the answer yes that they're looking for is out there. And then, I came to the conclusion of law school.
What do you think made the difference in your academic success regarding your homeschool experience as opposed to your public school experience?
I mean, when I started homeschooling, I think it really helped me be more personalized with my education, and I think that was one of the major things that helped me personally become a better student and care more about my academics. In public school, like I said, I couldn't get into the gifted and talented program, so I was just in the general, education classroom. And I wasn't interested, I was bored, I didn't care, I wasn't paying attention in class, I didn't care how my grades turned out. But then when I got to homeschooling, it was, like I said, really, really personal, and it was very flexible, which was very beneficial for me, but more so it was very personal. So when I was ready to be in algebra, even though I was in sixth grade, or, I was 12 when most people were like 14 or 15,
Mm-hmm.
I just was able to do algebra, and that kind of flexibility and personalization is really what relit that passion for education for me, because it was like, okay, well, when I'm ready, I can do what I need to do to keep me engaged and challenged and interested. And I'm not doing something that's too hard for me. If I'm not ready to be in geometry, I'm not in geometry. But if I am ready to be in geometry, I'm in geometry. So it's like the personalization, I think, is really what resonated with me versus public school, which really didn't get that deep for me.
Yeah, because in preparing for this interview, I see that you had said something about uh, in public school you were just being taught to a test
Yes,
as opposed to actually learning through homeschooling.
that is the perfect phrasing. It was just for the STAR test that they have at the end of this year.
Now, what difference do you want to make in the world with your law degree?
I mean, I have a lot of goals and aspirations with my law degree. I, I mean, starting a school is something that I have a huge passion for, just because I feel like there are so many, like I said, so many students out there who don't really get the full academic experience that they could if they had other opportunities, and I really want to set up a place where those opportunities are maximized and they can really realize their full potential. And so starting a school is a huge goal for me with that. I also want to, be on a school board. I also want to practice law, be a judge. There's so many possibilities with the law degree, and I want to get them all.
Yeah, it's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. You're starting at the perfect time to tell you the truth. I not too long ago finished my MPA, and I think I finally finished. I finally discovered what it is that I want to do. As far as when I grow up and everything. But law would certainly be a part of that, as well as policy development. I've always been a policy wonk, but I never really came to the realization of it until I got much older, into my adulthood. But
Mhm.
you're starting at the right time in your life to to have made that decision that that's the direction that you want to go. Now, in your efforts to develop a school or an opportunity for gifted and talented girls of color, what will be your strategy to attract these girls to your program?
I mean, like I said, I think it's because I'm extremely relatable. I understand what they're going through. I understand what barriers that they're facing, what things they have to overcome, and I think that me developing a school will really help eliminate a lot of those barriers because I'll know what barriers to look for, what barriers there are, and what need to be removed for them to be extremely successful. And I think that I think the relatability is really what will attract them to the school because it will be a great environment for them to grow.
Now, just a second ago, you mentioned that, the number of different roles you wanted to play, whether it's a judge or as a lawyer or what
Mhm.
have you. Fighting and making changes in educational policy is a gargantuan lift. Where do you see yourself, or what role do you see yourself playing more specifically as a policymaker, as an attorney that fights cases, or as a judge that hears cases?
I would definitely, like I said, want to be all three and even more. Being somebody who's a policymaker, I think I'll really be able to help directly impact the students at the schools. I'll really know the struggles that they face, especially for girls of color, and I can really make a difference that way. As an attorney, I feel I can advocate for unjust situations as attorneys do, and then being a judge who hears cases, I could really have the ultimate decision on what I think is best for the students at the schools and really just making a difference in all three of those and more but in those three that you just listed and all three of those career paths it just all of them sound amazing to me. I just really want to help, like
Hmm.
I wish I mean I am so lucky that I had, like I said, parents who were there for me and helped me get through the barriers, and had they just accepted the barriers I wouldn't be where I am. And I think that I can really help parents realize that they can do the exact same thing, and like I said, they might not have even thought about it. So just in all three of those situations, and like I said, more the other career paths, I just any way that I can help the families and their students realize that the yes that they're looking for is out there, it would be a dream come true.
We're speaking with Haley Taylor Schlitz. Haley has a BS in science in interdisciplinary studies from the Texas Women's University. She's 16 years old, and she's on the Texas Women's University Dean's List, and she's also a recipient of the Texas Women's University Black Alumni African American Heritage Scholarship. And she will be attending Southern Methodist University Delman School of Law this fall. And she's the author of the book, The Homeschool Alternative, which we're going to get into shortly. And this is a part of the documentary that I've put together. It's entitled Poverty, Racism, and Income Inequality in Black America. How do we move forward? And Haley was so very nice to give us some of her very valuable time today. Haley, you've spoken out against systematic racism in American public schools. What do you believe needs to change in order for there to be more of an equal system?
I think one of the major factors that need to change, or yeah, change is the best word that I could use for this, is the teachers. Not that the teachers that are in the public school system right now are bad. There are a lot of amazing and fantastic teachers who care about the students so much. But a more diverse teacher workforce is going to be really important to make a difference to the students of color and the trajectory of their life, the career that they go into, whether or not they go to college. There's statistics that say that if a black student or student of color has a teacher of color, at least one teacher of color throughout their entire education journey, they're like, well, I don't know, it's like 20% more likely to go to a university. And it's like things like that. Those little things that you think doesn't really matter, like, okay, the teacher's race, like why, if the student was passionate about going to university or not, like, no, but it makes all the difference. And I think that diversifying the teacher workforce is one of the main things that need to at least improve, I guess, or develop or grow or change to really help make a difference in those students' lives.
Okay, you kind of stole my thunder there because I was going to ask you if you could please speak to the importance of diversity, but you've covered that very well. It is important that we have diversity in education as well as in the classroom and I think it does make a difference. And to your point, I think it does make a difference. Uh, Advocacy. Could you please speak about the importance of advocacy? Because many of the students that you want to appeal to, and to tell you the truth, already appeal to, are going to need advocacy at some point in their lives. Could you please speak to the importance of advocacy?
Yeah, no, so I have like a personal experience with this. Yeah, when I was little, I was born in California. So when I
Hmm.
was little, my dad used to take me to his work, and he used to work in public policy. And I think that experience altogether, like he used to take me everywhere. We used to like get donut. Okay, that's very, that's getting into the story. But anyway, he used to take. I remember like watching him do his work, and I was just like in awe. And even to this day, I'm still like greatly impacted by that because like it's motivated me to take steps in my own advocacy in my own life. Like the Representation Project, for example, is something I'm a part of, and it advocates for the way that women are portrayed in our media and their image. And I think things like that, it's like it really opened. Like if I had not gone and observed my dad in his work in his field of his job, I don't know where I would be because really that experience along with others, but that was one of the first experiences I ever had that really opened my eyes to advocacy and my passion for a just environment and society. And I think exposure is extremely important to help open students' eyes and motivate them to make a change in their own personal life. And I think it's really important that we have fighters and people who care about the communities that they serve,
Hmm.
because every community needs fighters.
Now, about your book, The Homeschool Alternative, what made you write it, and is it a promotion of homeschooling?
I would say, I mean, the thing I wrote it with my mom. It was
Hmm.
we co-authored it together. It was written like last year, and I would say that it was multifaceted. What made us write it? It was a lot of different experiences that made my mom and I realize that we have a lot to share, and that we decided to sit down and write a book together. It was like to list a few. Like I said, there was a lot of different things that went into our motivation. But like my personal experience going through the public school, transitioning to homeschooling, it's basically the book is about two main things. One about how the public school wasn't really made with students of color in mind. If you think about when public school was designed, it wasn't really designed with thinking that students of color could be as great as students who are not of color. And so, although the public school is designed for the general population, your student isn't the general population. So, I mean, that's one of the major, like the first half basically of the book. It goes deeper into that, and then the second half of the book delves more into our personal experience, our personal point of view, and that is where more of a homeschool, I guess you could say promotion, just a recommendation, really, is more portrayed in that second half, about how my experience was from public school to homeschool, what we did, like there were like online programs that we used that we list in the book, or tutors, or, it was more of a personal side in that part of the book. I would say that it's like it's a strong recommendation for homeschooling for students of color, although we are aware that not everybody can homeschool, not that many parents who work full-time jobs, more than one job, don't have the money, don't have the time, it's not everybody can homeschool, and that's perfectly fine. You don't have to homeschool to reach your maximum possibility, and we get deeper in the book. In the book, we get deeper into that too, on how homeschooling is not just a practice but a mindset. That's kind of the gist of the book. It gets deeper, much deeper into everything I just mentioned, but
Hmm.
yeah, to sum it up.
Okay. Now I want to get back to policy for a minute, because you really piqued something in my head when you had said that your father worked in public policy. So that right there tells me that you've got some experience with this thing. Not only the experience that you've lived yourself and seen yourself, but I mean, you've looked at it firsthand.
Mhm.
So you're well versed in it, so to speak, or at least have a very strong beginning into where you want to go with regards to policy. And I just want you to speak as best you can about your understanding about how policy proposals become laws.
Yeah, no, that's an extremely important topic. Like you said, I do have like firsthand experience on watching my dad work in his, place of work, and that was a beautiful experience for me. But I think that it really the level of government really impacts that process. The nuts and bolts are different depending on which level you're at, school board or, it depends on what situation. But I think what really matters is how the law is implemented. If you have a great law but nobody follows it, it doesn't really mean anything. You can have a fantastic idea, but if nobody listens, it doesn't. It's not making the best. It's not doing the best it can. You
Hmm.
know. So I think one of the really important questions is like how should one implement a law? And it's like I think my experience is a great example of how like it's a law that everybody's supposed to be able to be tested, but I wasn't tested. They didn't let me test. And so this is why I think we need like a diverse workforce in all fields, not just in education, but my experience is in education.
Hmm.
But I think it's important to have a diverse workforce in all fields because we need people who can understand the communities they serve. If you have a diverse work group, you have different points of view, and that points of view directly impact implementation. And I think implementing a law is just as important as how the law is made.
Excellent answer. Excellent answer. Continuing on, first I want to remind our audience that we're talking with Haley Taylor Schlitz. Haley has a BS, a Bachelor of Science uh, in Interdisciplinary Studies from the Texas Women's University. She's 16 years old, and she's on the dean's list there at the Texas Women's University, and she's a recipient of the Texas Women's University Black Alumni African American Heritage Scholarship, and she will be attending Southern Methodist University Dedman School of Law this fall, and she's the co-author of the book The Homeschool Alternative. And our discussion is a part of the discussion series Poverty, Racism, and Income Inequality in Black America. How do we move forward? And Haley was kind enough to give us some of her very valuable time today. Haley, we're in the home stretch, and I want to ask. I want to ask you. I believe that children should begin learning about policy development and its purpose as early as the fifth grade and all the way up into their graduation from high school. Your opinion?
I think that is 100% true. I think it's important for students to realize how impactful policy development is in modern society. I think it's important for students to realize how much of a difference they can make with the policies they develop. Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you.
Okay, and if you could please speak about the article you wrote in 2018 that addresses underserved students and their families accessing gifted education programs.
Yeah, no, I mean that article was really rooted from my own personal experience in education. I like I've mentioned, but I'll get a little bit deeper into how I went to public school from kindergarten all the way to fourth grade. I was in California from like kindergarten to first grade, but then we moved out to Texas, and I have been in their public school. I was in their public school system from second to fifth grade. And from when I moved to Texas, I was in I was in fifth grade, and my parents noticed that my grades started to drop, and I didn't really care about my education anymore. I cared more about what my peers thought about me, less about results on my report card and
Mm-hmm.
whether or not I was actually learning. And so my parents thought, well, maybe I wasn't being challenged. Maybe she's not interested in the material that she's being taught, so we should see if she can get tested for the Gifted and Talented program. And they said no. The reason that they said no, that they told me, was because you have to test in kindergarten and you're not allowed to test after that. But I was in California in kindergarten, so obviously I couldn't test for the Texas Gifted and Talented program if I was in California in kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously that doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing was that in 5th grade, other students were testing to be part of the Gifted and Talented program. So I'm not saying that they were discriminating against race. It just so happened that the other students were not of color and I was. I feel like it was because I was of color and I was a girl, and they just didn't really see me as somebody who could be gifted, and their expectations weren't as high for
Mm-hmm.
me as a student who was not of color.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they didn't say that, of course. So I'm not saying that was the reason, but that's how I feel. And that's really where that article, that was a lot of where that came from. It was really my own story, my own experience, and how just that was a huge turning point in my life,
Mm-hmm. I see that you like to play video games with your brother. Do you let him win, or does he let you win?
If I were to ever win, it was because he let me.
Really? He's that good?
He is that good. Yes.
Wow. Well, you might want. I wouldn't suggest that you take time away from your studies to become a better video game player. But tell him that I said that maybe he needs to let you win sometime. Be nice to you, so that when you meet with all of this success that you're bound to meet with, that you can be nice to him in return.
That message will be passed on. He needs to hear that.
Yeah, he sounds like he definitely needs to hear it as well. I'm sure he kind of rubs it in your face there when he beats you too, huh?
He does.
Oh, shame on him. Shame on him. We have been speaking with Haley Taylor Schlitz. She has a Bachelor of Science degree from interdisciplinary studies from Texas Women's University. She's 16 years old. She is on the dean list at Texas Women's University, as well as a recipient from the Texas Women's University Black Alumni African American Heritage Scholarship. She won that scholarship, as well as she's going to be attending Southern Methodist University in Dedham School of Law this fall. And she's been very nice to give us some of her very valuable time today. She's also the co-author of The Homeschool Alternative, the book. And I would definitely recommend that you go and cop. And this conversation has been the part of the discussion series, Poverty, Racism, and Income Inequality in Black America. How do we move forward? And Haley, we thank you so very much for giving us some of your very valuable time today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. So if you just look up The Homeschool Alternative, it will come up. It's by Haley Taylor Schlitz and Maisha Taylor. That's where you can get it.
Okay, Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Got it.